Hi guys, my name is Rishabh and today we'll start the fourth chapter of CM1 Time Value of Money. In this chapter, we will learn about interest rates. We will take into account the time value of money using the concepts of compound interest and discounting, how to accumulate a single investment at a constant rate of interest under the operation of simple and compound interest. So let's start by first looking at what interest rates are. Interest rate Interest can be regarded as a reward paid by the borrower to the lender for using the asset belonging to the lender. The term interest is generally used when the asset that is borrowed is capital or money. So, if suppose I deposit 100 rupees in an account for 1 year and at the end of the year I got 115 rupees back. So, I deposited 100 here at time 0 and at time 1 I got 115 rupees back. So this extra 15 amount that I have got is called my interest amount. And this is the amount that I have earned in 1 year, which is credited in my account at the end of the year. The initial amount 100, this one is called the principal amount or capital. Now let's calculate the interest rate, that is the rate at which we are earning interest every year. Since the interest is earned on our principal for 1 year is rupees 15, so the interest rate which is denoted by I is just the amount of interest upon the principal that was 100 equals to 0.15 or 15%. It means that we are earning 15% of the principal amount every year. Interest rates are generally denoted in decimal rather than percentages. So if the rate at which the rate at which my investment is earning is 20%, then I'll write I equal to 0.2 instead of 20%. And for example, if the interest rate is 5%, then I'll write I equal to 0.05 instead of 5%. Both the notation means the same thing, but writing I equal to 0.2 and 0.05 comes more handy while doing calculation. Similarly, the accumulation amount can also be calculated by interest rate. For example, I had 100 rupees at the start of the year and I had to calculate the accumulated amount at the end of the first year. I know the interest rate is 0.15, so the accumulated amount that can be denoted by A can be calculated as 100 plus 100 into 0.15, that is my interest. So 100 plus 15 equals to 115. Instead of doing so many calculations, I can directly compute the accumulated amount at the end of the year by multiplying my initial capital by a factor of 1.15. This 1.15 factor is just this factor, that is 1 plus the interest I. So for calculating the amount at the end of the year, I can directly calculate it by multiplying by 1.15. Now let's discuss how to make timelines. Timelines are a good way of representing cash flows which help in understanding the given problem by displaying figures. So this is what a typical timeline looks like. On the below side of the timeline, we mention time 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on up to n, and on the above of the timeline we display figures, for example 10 here, 20 here and so on. So the difference between the duration between any two time period is called the time period or the unit time. This timeline could be in years, quarters, week or etc. depending on the question and interest rate. For example, if in the question we are given interest rate per annum, then these time would represent years, and if the question says interest rate per month, then these time would represent months. Now there are two types of interest rates, simple interest rates and compound interest rate. Compound interest rates are also called effective rate. First, have a look at what simple interest rate means. Simple interest. The essential feature of simple interest is that interest once credited to an account does not itself earn further interest. Or to put it simply, the amount at the beginning of each time period on which we calculate the interest remains same in the simple interest setting. Now look at an example to understand the concept more clearly. Suppose an investor deposit an amount of 10,000 in an account that pays interest at the rate of 10% per annum simple interest. So at the beginning, this zero represents the present time. So we are depositing in a sum of 10,000 here for 3 years. At the end of the first year, the interest will be calculated as 10,000 into 0.1, that is 1,000. The balance at the end of each year would be as follows. At the end of the first year, we have 10,000 plus 1,000 interest earned, that is 11,000 in our bank account. Similarly, at the end of second year, the interest would again be calculated on the initial capital, that was 10,000, and would again come the same as 1,000. And similarly, the balance at the end of second year would be 11,000 plus 1,000, that is 12,000. And similarly, by the same principle, the interest at the end of third year would again be 1,000, and the amount at the end of third year would be 13,000. So you see, the interest earned in the first year is 1,000 rupees, and the balance has risen to 11,000 rupees. But still in the second year, the interest that we are calculating is on 10,000 rupees instead of 11,000. So the interest earned in the first year is not earning any interest in the second year. Similarly, the interest of the second year is not earning any interest in the third year, since in the third year we are again calculating the interest on 10,000 rupees instead of 12,000 rupees. So this interest gets accumulated. In the first year, 1,000 rupees is earning nothing. In the second year, this 2,000 rupees is earning nothing, and in the third year we got 13,000 total. This 13,000 is called the accumulated amount. So this 13,000 is called the accumulated amount. In most of our chapters ahead, we will be more concerned about the accumulated amount than the interest amount. So we will now learn a way to calculate directly without having solved for each year. So to calculate the accumulated amount directly, I will denote accumulated amount as A. And since the initial capital was 1,000 and 1,000, and the interest was as follows. So this was my initial capital, this was my interest at the end of first year, this was my interest at the end of second year, and this was my interest at the end of third year. So taking 10,000 common, I will get a 1 plus 1,000 upon 10,000, I will get 10%, that is 0.1, and since these three terms are same, I will write it as 3 into 0.1, and I will get 10,000 into 1.3, that is 13,000. So general rule for calculating the accumulated amount directly when we are given simple interest is as follows. For calculating the accumulated amount, we will write it as C into 1 plus Ni, where I is my interest rate per time period. I am using time period here instead of years because this time period could be anything. It could be years, quarters, months, weeks, whatever. And this n is my number of time period. and C is my initial principal or capital. So to calculate an amount directly, we will use this formula again and again in this video and later on also. So now you probably understand why we rarely use simple interest in real life, because as we saw in the above example, our interest is not earning any more interest on that. Had I withdrawn that interest money and invested in someplace else, then I would have earned more than that of what I got, that is 13,000 rupees. Now we'll discuss an example that will clearly show you the disadvantage of using simple interest and why this interest is not generally used in practical life. Suppose an investor deposits 5,000 rupees into an account that pays 10% per annum simple interest at the end of the year. We'll consider two cases. So we are given our capital 5,000. We are given interest rate of 10% per annum simple interest rate, and we are given n equal to 6. We'll consider the first case. In this case, I am investing this amount of 5,000 directly for 6 years. So at the end of the sixth year, the total amount, accumulated amount I will get, it will be 5,000. Since my rate is 10% and number of years is 6, I will use the formula above as 0.1 into 6 and I will get 8,000. In the case 2, in the second case, I will invest the amount for first 3 years, then I would again reinvest the amount that I got at the end of 3 years for another 3 years. What I meant to say is, this is my time period 0, this is my time period 6, and this is my time period 3. This is my 5,000 rupees. So I will invest this amount for 3 years. I will invest the amount for 3 years, then I will get the accumulated amount in time 3, then I will reinvest that amount again for another 3 years. So first I have 5,000 rupees, I invest it for 3 years, I get 5,000, 1 plus 3 into 0.1, since my interest rate is 10% and I'm investing for 3 years, and I will get 6,500 rupees. Now I will invest this 6,500 again in the same account. That is, I'll withdraw this amount and invest it again in the same account for 3 years. Then I will get at the end of 6 years 6,500, 3 into 0.1, 8,450. So you see the difference. In the first case, I did not reinvest the amount. I just started at time 0 and I checked my account at the end of 6 years and I got 8,000 rupees. But in the second case, I reinvested the amount at the at the end of third year. So at the end of third year, I had amount 6,500. I reinvested it again and got 8,450. Sorry. So the reason of the difference is, when we calculated the amount at time 3, it came out to be 6,500. Here at time 3, the amount is 6,500. But since we have invested for the 6 years, the interest part of this 6,500, that is interest part is minus 5,000. So this is my interest part in 6,500. In the first case, this interest part of first of 1,500 is not earning any interest in this time period. But in the second case, since I have reinvested the money, my capital has risen to 6,500, and that part 1,500 part is also earning interest in this time period. That's why I have got the difference of 450 rupees. So we see that one could benefit in this way if he reinvests his money again and again at each time period in simple interest setting. So to overcome this problem, we have compound interest rate. Now moving on to compound interest rate, the essential feature of compound interest rate as opposed to what we saw earlier is that the interest earned itself earns further interest. In other words, the amount on which interest is calculated at each time period is the accumulated amount up to the time period. Let us see an example of how this works. An investor deposits 10,000 rupees again in an account at time 0 for 3 years, just like the case we saw earlier in simple interest. Again, at the end of the first year, the interest would be calculated as 10,000 into 0.1, that is 1,000, and the balance at the end of each year would be, in the first year it would be 10,000 plus 1,000 equals to 11,000. But in the second year, since we are using compound interest rate, the amount on which we will earn interest would be 11,000 as opposed to what we see earlier in simple interest. In simple interest, we were earning at 10,000 in second year, but in compound interest, we will earn this at 11,000, and amount will be so the balance amount at the end of second year will be 11,000. Similarly, at the end of third year, the amount on which we will calculate the interest would be the total amount up to the time period, that is and the total amount balance at the end of the third year would be let's see it again. In this setting, here the balance was 11,000, and in this period I earn interest on this 11,000 instead of 10,000. Here the balance was 12,100, and so I earn interest in the third year. This is my third year and last year. In this year I earned interest on 12,100, that is 1210. One more way to see this problem is, in simple interest, the interest itself was not earning interest. But in this example, in the second year, you see we have calculated interest as 1100. So this 1100 comes from, there are two parts in 1100. First is the 1000 and the second part is 100. The total is 1100. So this part comes from the capital. This part comes from this capital, So here the balance is 11,000. So in the second year, the interest came out to be 1100. So the interest of this duration was 1100. When we broke this amount in two parts, this part comes from the interest of 10,000 and this part comes from the interest of this part. This means in second year we are earning interest not only on the capital amount but also on the interest amount of first year. So this was the compound interest. Now, just like we had a formula for calculating accumulated amount directly in simple interest, we have the same formula in compound interest also. But here, like in this example we saw, when you multiply 10,000 with 1.1, we came with the total amount at time 1. That is, when we multiplied with 1.1 again, we came up with a balance at second year that was 12,100. And similarly, when we multiplied it again with the third time, we came up with the amount at the end of third year, which was this. So in general, to calculate to calculate the accumulated amount at the end of third year in compound interest, we will write it as A equal to C 1 plus I to the power n. We will use this formula to calculate the accumulated amount at the end of nth period in compound interest. Similarly, C is the capital here, I is the interest rate per annum, and n is the number of time periods. Sorry, I is the interest rate per time period. Our next topic is accumulation factor. Accumulation factor is a factor which, when multiplied by the capital, give us directly the accumulated amount. Accumulation factor is denoted by A T1 comma T2. So if we have an amount C at time 1, at time T1, then we can directly calculate the accumulated amount at time T2 by multiplying the amount C with the accumulation factor of that time period. So I had the initial amount C, I wanted the accumulated amount here at time T2, so I multiplied C with the accumulation factor of this duration. That's how accumulation factor works. Let's see an example. Suppose we have invested an amount of 5,000 at time 0 and got 9,000 at time 5. So to calculate the accumulation factor of 5 years, we know that 5,000 into A 0, 5. This A 0, 5 represents the accumulation factor of this duration between 0 and 5. So we know that the accumulation factor when multiplied with capital gives us the accumulated amount. So we have accumulated amount of 9,000 here. From this equation, we get accumulation factor of 0 to 5 as 1.8. For the simplicity of notation, we generally do not write 0 and directly write it as A5. So these two are the same thing. A05 can be simply written as A5. We ignore the 0 for the simplicity of notation. So A5 is 1.8. So we can say that we earned an interest rate of 80% per 5 years. You see, the factor came out to be 1.8. In this 1.8, 1 is the capital and 0.8 is my interest amount that I've earned. So 0.8 upon 1 gives me 80% interest over this 5 years period. In the above example, we saw that when we multiplied the initial capital, in the above example of simple interest, we saw that when you multiplied this 10,000 with this amount, we got this amount. This was here in the simple interest. Just a minute. Here we multiplied this 10,000 by this factor 1 plus 3 into 0.1. So sorry, it would be 13,000. So this is my accumulation factor. Since this would be my accumulation factor for 0 to 3 time period, since this is my capital and I'm multiplying my capital with accumulation factor to get my accumulated amount. So in simple interest setting, the accumulation factor for the end time period is given by 1 plus ni. See, in this example, the time period was 3. You see, the time period was 3, the interest rate was 10%, and this will become my factor, accumulation factor. So in general, we can directly write this accumulation factor as 1 plus ni for simple interest setting. And similarly for compound interest setting, we can also write accumulation factor, or you can also write it as 0 to n. This represents the same thing. This means we are calculating the accumulation factor for the time period between 0 and n. So for compound interest setting, this was for simple interest. So for compound interest setting, our accumulation factor is 1 plus I to the power n. Compound interest. Now, the example we just saw, this one, we calculated that the factor 1.5 is for 5 years. Now suppose we want to calculate the per annum interest rate in both the cases, simple and compound cases. First we assume that the interest rate is simple, so we'll calculate the interest rate per annum as follows. So to calculate the yearly rate, case 1, we assume here simple interest setting. Simple interest setting. So when we assume simple interest setting, we know that accumulation factor was 1.8, and we also know that accumulation factor while calculating the accumulated amount in simple interest setting is 1 plus ni. I just told you that the accumulation factor is 1 plus ni when you are calculating a simple interest rate. So from this we can directly calculate the yearly rate, which will come out to be 0.16 or 16%. This means this was our initial investment. We invested 5,000 and we got 9,000 at time 5. So if this setting, if this example was calculated using an interest rate, simple interest rate, then this would be the rate that would come out. In the second case, we will assume case 2. In this case, we'll assume that we assume compound interest rate setting. Compound interest rate. So if we assume that the investment made earlier, which was this, so if we assume that this investment was earning at a compound interest rate, then we'll calculate the interest rate as follows. We know that the accumulation for 5 years was 1.8, and we also know that the compound accumulation factor is given by 1 plus I to the power n. From this expression, you can directly calculate I to be 0.12475, or you can directly say it is 12.475%. So if this investment was earning at a compound interest rate, the rate would be 12.475. Our next topic is principle of consistency. Principle of consistency is just the counter of the problem we face with the simple interest rate. It is only valid for compound interest rate. Please remember that principle of consistency is only valid when we are using compound interest rate or effective rates. If you have invested an amount for n years, the principle of consistency says that reinvesting the proceeds before n years would not earn you more interest, more amount. Let's see an example. If I invest 5,000 rupees for 8 years, I invest 5,000 rupees for 8 years at the interest rate of 13% per annum. Let me write that clearly. Zero 0.13. So, or 13%. Yes. So we are earning at a rate of 13% compounded annually. So the accumulated amount at this time, at this 8th time period, will be, let me write it as A8. This will be 5,000 into accumulation factor of 0 to 8, because accumulation factor when multiplied with the capital would give me the accumulated amount at this time period, that is 8. So 5,000 into 1.13. 1.13 is 1 plus I and to the power 8. We will get 13,292 rupees and 22 paise. Now I will calculate the amount at the end of 5th year, and I will write it as A5. So the amount at the end of 5th year would be 5,000 into A 0, 5. That is 5,000 into 1.13 to the power 5, and this will come out to be 9,212.18. Now what I did, I invest this amount again for 3 years. It is just like the case in simple interest where we reinvested the amount again. So in this case, I am reinvesting this amount again for 3 years. So the accumulated amount at time 8 will be, I'm writing it at A, I'm writing it as just A. So the accumulated amount would be 9,212, this 0.18, sorry, 9,212.18 into accumulation factor from 5 to 8, because this money is at time 5 and I want to take it to the time 8. That's why I'm using the factor A5 to 8. This will come out to be 9,212.18 into, since my interest rate is same every year and the time duration is 3, so power 3, and I will get an answer of 13,292.22 paise, which is exactly same as the amount that I got earlier, 13,000, this one. So the amount hasn't changed. So when you're using compound interest rate, it does not matter whether you reinvest the money or not, you will earn the same amount of money. So the principle of consistency says that a 0 to 8 is equals to a 0 to 5 into a 5 to 8. This means that whether you invest directly for the 8 years period or whether you invest first for 5 years then again for 3 years, it does not matter in compound interest rate setting. So in general, principle of consistency says, I am writing the general formula here, a t0 comma tn equal to a t0 comma t1 into a t1 comma t2 and so on, a tn minus 1 comma tn. So this is a general form of what principle of consistency is. It's similar to what I've written here. These two are same thing. This one is a specific case where tn is 8 and t0 is 0, and this is a more general case where we are reinvesting again and again at every time period. Now our next topic for today is discounting or deaccumulating. Just as accumulating an amount of capital C adds the interest amount over time period according to a given interest rate to give us an accumulated amount A at the end of the duration, deaccumulating or discounting is the same process by which we get back to the initial capital C from the accumulated amount A at some given interest rate. What I just said in words means, to put it simply, suppose this is my present time 0 and this is some future time n. This is my initial capital C. What accumulation is doing, accumulation is taking this amount C, it is going forward in time and it is adding the interest along along the way when it's moving forward in time, and it gives me the accumulated amount at time A. So accumulated amount A is the amount C and the interest earned over this whole duration. What discounting does is just reversing this process. Again, this is the accumulated amount A, this is my time period N, and this is my present time 0. What discounting does, discounting takes this accumulated value A, it comes back in time, it removes the interest from A, and it again gives me back my capital C. So this is the difference between accumulation and deaccumulation or discounting. It is not necessary that this discounting has to be stopped here at time 0. You can stop it at any time. Suppose we stop at time, suppose I stop at time 5. So when I stop at time 5, I stop here. I start from A, I come back, and I stop at time 5. Then the amount that would come at time 5 would be the same amount if I had started at time 0 and I stopped at time 5. What I mean to say that if you start with C and accumulate for 5 years, you will get the same amount had you started with time A and moved back in time to time 5. So this was the process of deaccumulating or discounting. Discounting is just bringing back the accumulated amount back in time by reducing the amount by the interest earned over the period. Now, just like we have an accumulation factor, we also have a discount factor, and it is denoted by Vn. Earlier we denoted, let's just use white color. Earlier we denoted the accumulation factor by An, and it was 1 plus Ni in the case of simple interest, and it was 1 plus I to the power n in the case of compound interest. Similarly, for discounting, we have discounting factor which is denoted by Vn. And Vn is nothing but 1 upon An since we are reversing the process. As I told you earlier, accumulation factor when multiplied by C gives you the accumulated amount. So to get back the original C, what you did, you divided this A by An. So this became your discounting factor. So making it simple and writing it as, so discounting factor in simple interest would be 1 upon 1 plus Ni, and discounting factor in the case of compound interest will be 1 plus 1 upon y to the power n. Or you can write it as or you can directly write it as 1 plus I 1 plus I to the power minus n, which is the same thing. One thing more, since we are discounting so much in the actuarial work, we have defined a special notation for a 1 year discounting factor. Please remember, for the 1 year discounting factor, we write small v. This was capital V, this was capital Vn, this was capital Vn, this was capital Vn. But for the 1 year discounting factor, we write V equal to 1 upon 1 plus I. So the discounting factor was for compound interest, which was earlier 1 plus I to the power minus n, it will become now small v to the power n. Now we'll look at an example again. It is a previous example that we did earlier while calculating the amount in compound interest setting. In this example we had this was the example. When we invested 10,000 in an account that pays interest at the rate of 10% per annum compounded, then we calculated accumulated amount as it's A3 1 plus I to the power 3, and since I is 10%, so it will be 1.1 to the power 3 and it will be 13,310. Similarly, to discount this amount, to discount this this accumulated amount back to the time 0, we will multiply it with discounting factor. So this is my amount, this is my discounting factor. This is my discounting factor. And since I told you it will be 1.1 to the power 3, or in the notation of v I can write it as v to the power 3. So see, this is my third time period, this is my first time period. I'm bringing amount here, I'm moving back 3 time periods, so v to the power 3, it will be 10,000. And you see here we multiplied it with 1 to the power 1 plus I to the power, or 1 plus 1.1 to the power 3. Here we are dividing it with same number, so obviously the amount would come out to be same. Now we can also discount the accumulated amount at a time in between. So suppose if I want sorry if suppose I want to discount this amount here, I want to discount it back on time 1, then what I will do, I will write 13,000 this into discounting factor 1 to 3, that is accumulation factor of 1 to 3, that is 13,310 into 1 upon 1.1 to the square. You can also directly write it as 13,310 into v square. You can directly write it as this, and the answer would come out to be 11,000. So the amount will come out to be 11,000. Now if you want to calculate the value of the investment by using this initial capital, then you can also do that. For that, For that, I'll write 10,000, that is my amount, into accumulation 0 to 1. And since 0 to 1 is only one time period, so I will only use 1.1 to the power 1 and it will come to be same. Moving ahead, our next topic is present value. Present value, or it is in short called PV. As the name suggests, the present value of an amount A in the future is the value of A at a present time. There are many ways of looking at the meaning of present values. In actual work, we are usually aiming to make payments at certain future dates. For example, making an assurance payment when an individual dies, or making a payment to a worker after retirement. So we are generally interested in answering the question, how much do we need to invest right now to provide the payment at a later time? This amount that we need to invest right now is called the present value or the discounted value of that future payment. So, for example, I am interested, suppose after n years, I need an amount A. So the amount that I need to invest right now, that is C, is called, this C is called the present value of A. So to get the present value of any payment at time n in future, you just have to multiply it with the discounting factor, like we did in the previous example. So what you need to do, if A is your amount, accumulated amount, and you want the present value of this A at time 0, so you need to multiply it with the discounting factor of 0 to n, that is A into v to the power n. Since we are using compound interest rate, the discounting factor for 1 year is, as I told you earlier, it was 1 upon 1 plus I. Since we are discounting for n years, this would be v to the power n, or you can simplify it as A into 1 upon 1 plus I to the power n. Now we will look at another type of interest rate. I hope I have made the concept of present value clear, since I have already taught you the concept of discounting. So present value is just discounting back the amount you want in future at the present time you want. Let's do an example. Suppose I want to buy a car after 10 years. So this is the 10th time period. This is where I am right now. I am estimating that the cost of the car that I need to buy after 10 years would be 15 lakh. Okay. So in order to make a payment of 15 lakh in 10 years time, I want to start my saving right now at time 0, and I'm interested in calculating the amount that I should set aside right now in order to get the car in 10 years time. So the amount I need to set aside right now can be calculated by discounting this payment here. You can bring this amount here by discounting this 15 lakh payment 10 years back in time. So to do that, I will use, and suppose the interest rate given is 8%. So 15 lakh is my amount. I want the present value of that amount at time 0. So I will use the discounting factor of 0 to 10, and discounting factor would be v to the power 10, or you can do it like this: 15 lakh into 1.08 to the power minus 10. Since my interest rate was 8%, so this amount will come out to be 6,94,790.23 paise. To check whether I've calculated the right amount, I can accumulate this value again to time 10. In order to do that, I will use this amount and multiply it with the accumulation factor, that is 1.08 to the power 10, and since we have calculated it right, the amount will come out to be 15 lakh. Okay, so now we will look at another type of interest rate. It has its own name, but I will provide you this name at the end of the video for the sake of simplicity. From now on, we will call this type of interest rate as type 2 rate. Okay, I'll explain you why I'm not using the real name right now and using this type 2 as an alias in some time. So yeah, now we look at two scenarios. This is a complex topic, so I need your full attention. In this example, we will be looking at two scenarios. I'll name them scenario 1 and scenario 2. Okay. In scenario 1, scenario 1 is a normal scenario in which when I take a loan of any amount, suppose I take a loan of amount 100 at time 0, then I will pay the interest with its capital or principal back at time 1. Okay, so it is a normal case where I supposed I've taken a loan of amount 100 rupees at time 0, and I've agreed to pay 110 at time 1. But now consider a different scenario. In scenario 2, the person has asked me that instead, in scenario 2, he has provided me the loan, but that he wants to be given interest at the starting of the period and not in the end. In the first scenario, I took a loan of 100 rupees and paid back the interest with principal at the end of the time period, that is at the end of the first year. But in second case, the lender wants me to pay the interest upfront, that is at the beginning of time of the first year, that is here. So I agree, and he deducts rupees 10 from my loan amount as interest and gives me the rest. So as decided, the loan is of amount 100. He gives me 90 rupees here, and I have to pay him back 100 at time 1. So you understand why these two scenarios are different. In the second scenario, the loan amount is still 100, but the interest is deducted at the starting of the year. Now I will pay him back 100 at the end of the year. In this type of scenario, the rate which is quoted is called the type 2 rate, and we will calculate it as follows. In scenario 2, the rate will be called type 2 rate. Since the amount charged is rupees 10 and the loan amount is rupees 100 at time 1, so I am paying him 10 rupees for every 100 amount of loan that I have borrowed. So my type 2 rate, which is denoted by D, can be calculated as I have the interest is of 10 rupees on a 100 rupee loan. So my type 2 rate come out to be 0.1. This type 2 rate D 10% is not same as the interest rate of 10% that we saw in the scenario 1, and I'll explain you this in some time why they are not same and why we are paying extra interest in the scenario second. Now we look this scenario to example from a different perspective and try to calculate the interest rate I in this setting. So in this setting, what I did was I got 90 rupees here, I have to pay 100 rupees here, this is my time 0, this is my time 1. In simple terms, we got 90 at time 0 and we paid 100 at time 1. So in order to calculate the interest rate in this setting, we will use I equals to the amount of interest is same 10 rupees, but this time the denominator would be 90, and it is actually 90 in normal cases. When you calculate interest, you calculate interest on the principal amount. It will be the amount would be the I would come out to be 0.1111 or 11.11%. While calculating the interest rate, we look at the this initial amount at time 0, but while calculating the type 2 rate, we consider the amount, this amount that is at the time 1 amount. So an interest rate of I 10% is not same as a type 2 rate of 10%. You see, this and this are same examples. They both have the same amount 90 at time 0 and 1 and 100 at time 1. But the type 2 rate of 10% is not equal to the interest rate. See, the actual interest that is paid in this setting is 11.11%. And we will see later why this is the case, why they are not same. This would be our last topic of equivalent rates. Now, so we now understand that there is a different type of rate and it is called type 2 rate. Now this type 2 rate is also of two types, simple and compound. This is very right. So let's understand this by an example. I borrowed an amount of 10,000 for 3 years at simple type 2 rate of 5%. So I borrowed, I'm sorry, since this is the loan amount, I will pay back again 10,000 at time 3. This is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. Interest rate is 5%. Sorry, it's not it's not an interest rate. It is type 2 simple rate. Type 2 simple rate of 5%. So in this setting, amount is deducted every year will be the same, just like the simple interest. In simple interest, we added the same amount at the end of every year. Just like that, we will deduct the same amount at the end of every year. So here, let's calculate the, so this amount will come here. Since g is equal to 500, I can calculate the type 2 interest as follows. It will be 500 rupees. Now this will come here and the amount will be 9,500. This will again come here and the amount will be 9,000, and this will again come here and the amount will be 8,500. So in order to earn an interest of 5%, type 2 interest of 5%, I will get 8,500 at time 0, and I will have to pay 10,000 at time 1. In actual sense, we are actually discounting this 10,000 at time 3 and bringing it back to time 0 with our type 2 simple interest. So instead of calculating for every year, we can do it directly, just like we did it in simple interest rate. So to do that, we want 10,000 and we will subtract 500 3 times, taking 10,000 common. We will left with 1 minus 500 upon 10,000 will be 0.05. That is my actual type 2 rate into 3, since there are 3 uh, 3 years. So what I get here, in general, you can calculate directly the present value at time 0. You can call it a present value, you can call it discounted value. So the general formula for that, let's call it A, 1 minus ND. This A is my amount at time 1 in the previous example. This A is the accumulated amount in the future, and 1 minus D is my factor. So my discounting factor, I can write it as 1 minus ND. So this is my simple interest discounting factor for type 2 interest rate. See, in simple interest setting, we had discounting factor something like that, 1 upon 1 plus ND, but here it is like this. Similarly, we have compound type rate to type 2 rate, and it works similarly as compound interest rate. Suppose here is my amount, will discount this amount here by multiplying it 0 by 0.95, and the amount will come out to be 9,500. We'll again discount it back by multiplying it by 0.95. The amount will come out to be 9025. We'll again discount it back. The amount will come out to be 8573. So what we are doing at time 1, we calculated discount as 500. At second time, we calculated as 9500 into 0.05, which is 475, I think. It is of no use, by the way. I'm just calculate. It's 475. And similarly, the discount in the third year will be 9025 into 0.05. It will come out to be 451.25. So see, in compound interest was earned on further interest, just like that. In discounting, first we discounted 500, then we'll get a discount in this part also, and it will reduce. So in short, if we are given a type 2 type 2 interest rate compound rate, then we can directly calculate this. The discounting factor will be 1 minus d to the power n. So here d was 5%, 0.05. That's why we multiplied it by 0.95 every time. And since we did it 3 times, we can directly calculate this amount as 0.95 cube. It will be same amount, 8573.25. This is the same amount as this one. Now, ending the suspense, I will tell you the original name of the type 2 rate. It's actually called the discount rate. And the reason I didn't tell you earlier was to make the explanation simple, so that you do not get confused between discount rate and discounting. Discount rate is not related to discounting only. It is also an interest rate, but in a scenario where interest is deducted upfront, that is, interest is paid at the beginning of time period. This discount rate D is generally used when the time duration of loan is very short, shorter than a year, and also this rate is also called commercial rate, commercial discount rate. The thing where people often get confused is that they think discount rate D is only used for discounting. No, you can use this rate. You can rate You can use any rate, whether it is interest rate or discount rate, for accumulation and discounting. Discounting is just a process by which you bring back the money back in time by reducing it with the appropriate rate. Now I'll provide you two tables below that will help you a lot in summarizing the results we have learned so far. So here it is, table 1. This is table 1 for simple rates. This is accumulation factor. This is discounting factor. In the case of simple interest, in the case of simple discount rate. So the accumulation factor in simple interest setting is 1 plus ni, We have seen that earlier. And the discounting factor is 1 upon 1 plus ni. In discount rate, the accumulation factor is 1 upon 1 minus nd, and discounting factor is 1 minus nd. Similarly, we can make a table for compound interest also. Table 2, compound interest. Compound interest, compound discount, an, vn, so an is 1 plus I to the power n, and vn is 1 plus I to the power minus n. V is the 1 year discounting factor. This is 1 plus I. In case of compound discount, the accumulation factor is 1 minus d to the power minus n, and the discounting factor is 1 minus d to the power n, because 1 minus d is less than 1, and 1, that's why the power is positive here, and the 1 year discount rate or discount factor is 1 minus d. Now we'll do one question regarding this concept, so it will help you a lot in brushing up the concepts that we have learned so far. This question is given on the page 15 of the material. So there are two cases, or you can say there are two questions. In first question, we have to calculate the accumulated value of an investment of 1000 in three cases. This is question number 1. So we have to calculate the accumulated amount at time 5. So in question 1 there are three cases. Case 1, we are given simple discount rate of 8%. Simple discount rate of 8% per annum. So accumulation factor will be 1000 A5 that is 1000 into 1 upon 1 minus 5 into 0.08. This is the formula from the table. This amount will be 1666.67. In case 2 we are given compound discount rate of 8% per annum. In this case we will calculate A5 as 1000 into 1 minus 0.08 to the power minus 5. Since it's a compound discount rate, and we will have 1000 into 0.92 to the power minus 5. This will come out to be 1517.26. In case 3 we have compound interest rate of 8%. This is a simple case, very 8000 into A5 will multiply it by the accumulation factor, which is 1 plus 0.08 to the power 5, that is 1000 into 1.08 to the power 5, which will come out to be 1469.33. Now in the second part of the question there are again 3 cases, but we want to calculate the present value of 2000. Accumulated amount is 2000 here and n is 4. So in case 1, simple interest rate is given at the rate of 3% per annum. So you can calculate present value as 2000 into 1 upon A4, that is 2000 into 1 upon 1 plus 4 into 0.03. This formula is again from the tables 1785.71. In case 2 here we have simple discount rate at the rate 3% per annum. So since it is discount rate we are given, so we will use 2000 into 1 upon A4. Since we are discounting, we will use the discounting factor 1 upon A4, or we can use directly the discounting factor as into 1 minus 4 into 0.03, since it's a simple discount, and the answer will be 1760. In case 3 we are given compound interest rate at the rate of 3% per annum. In this case we will use 2000 into v to the cube, that is 2000 into 1 upon 1.023 to power 3. Sorry, it is 4. It is 4 and it is also 4. And the answer will be 1776.97. Moving on to the last topic for today, we have is equivalent rates. Two interest rates or discount rates are equivalent if a given amount of principal invested for the same length of time produces the same accumulated value under each of the rates. The concept of two different interest rates giving the same amount of accumulated money seems absurd because we have not yet learned about the nominal rates. Nominal interest rate is the topic of next chapter, and there we will again discuss the equivalence between interest rates. Right now we will discuss equivalence between interest and discount rates. Since we have earlier seen that an interest rate of 10%, that is I equal to 10%, is not same as a discount rate of 10%. Now we derive an expression to arrive at a discount rate that is equivalent to a given interest rate. Earlier we saw an example where we took a loan of amount 100 and returned 110 at the time 1. That is, we paid interest at the rate of 10%. Now we want to calculate a discount rate which is equivalent to the above interest I in the second scenario, where we where the interest at the start of the where we pay interest at the start of the year. So we, in the second scenario, what we want to do is, our loan amount is 100 I want to choose a discount rate, such a discount rate that it is equivalent to 10% interest rate. That is, if I accumulate or discount this 100 rupees here, I will get the same answer from both the rates. Now in the second case, we are paying interest at the start of the year, that is 1 year before. So obviously we will not pay him rupees 10, because according to interest rate, he is entitled to rupees 10. But right now, I am losing the interest on this 10 rupees that I could have earned in this year. So if I give him 10 rupees here, then I am losing the interest that I could have earned in this duration on the 10 rupees. So I will deduct the amount of the interest that I would earn on this 10 rupees if I pay him early. Can you guess what I am going to do next? Yeah, I will pay him this amount, 10 upon 1 plus I. I will pay him this amount here at the start of the year. That is the discounted value of 10 at time 0. So my discount will be 10 upon 1.1 equal to 9.09. And my discount rate, so let's draw the example again. I took a loan of 100 at time 1. At time 0, I calculated that I will, since this is my discount, so at here I will get 100 minus 9.09, that is 90.91. So I'm getting 90.91 at time 0 after deducting the discount. So my transaction looks like this. Now we check how much interest we have paid. We know it will be 10% because we started with I equal to 10 to arrive at D equal to 9.09%. First let's calculate D. So the discount rate will be 9.09, that is the discount upon the amount of loan at time 1, that is, so the rate will come out to be 9.09%. So this rate 9.09 is equivalent to the interest rate of 10%. So whether you discount or accumulate using this rate or this rate, the answer would come out to be same. Now let's check whether we have calculated this right or not. So to calculate interest rate, I will use the amount paid. Amount paid is 9.09, and the initial amount is that I get is here is 90.91. So 90.91. This is approximately 10%. So we see that interest rate of 10% is equivalent to discount rate of 9.09%, and we now understand why. We can also look it intuitively. We can say that D equals to I upon 1 plus I, because in the second scenario, in the first scenario we will get the interest amount here, the interest is I, but in second scenario this amount we are getting it here. But since we are getting the amount early, we need to discount it because we are losing the opportunity of earning interest on this amount. So my D will be I upon 1 plus I, that is the discounted value of the interest that I am going to earn. So that was all for today. I hope you understand the concept well. Please read the chapter from material after watching this video. It will help you a lot. Thanks for listening. If you have any comments or suggestion, please let me know. Thank you so much.